Hello everyone, this is ACHAIA Akaya, and we are starting the action for the Wrath of the xel'naga tournament. This is a 1v1 tournament that's being hosted on the SC2 Armory site. And we've already had some games going on. The first game that I'm going to be casting here is this game 13 versus Fear. And I can't remember what their armory names are. I know 13 is M4, but I'm not sure if Fear has a different armory name. But anyways, the first map we're going to be playing on here is Incineration Zone. And Fear is going to be playing as the Terran, and 13 is going to be playing as Protoss. Now this map here is one of the new 1v1 maps that was released with patch 9, I believe. And I haven't seen a whole lot of it played, to be honest. It doesn't seem to come up in the 1v1 map pool selection, at least not for me. But it is a pretty cool map. It's another one of these new school maps that Blizzard has kind of tried to create where everything's not necessarily symmetrical in the sense of all four corners line up. There's a little bit of asymmetry to the map, but each player has an equal amount of bases and such on their side of the map. So it's basically symmetrical in the sense of it's split into two halves rather than into four quarters, which is what we saw a lot of in StarCraft 1 and Brood War. And it looks like the purple Terran Fear is going to be spawning on the left, and then on the lower right here we are going to have 13 as the yellow Protoss. And I'm not sure exactly what the popular strategies are on this map as of yet, because I have not seen a whole lot of games on it, as I mentioned earlier. But just to give you a quick overlay of it, there is a backdoor ramp entrance that is blocked by destructible rocks. That leads to a regular mineral expansion here in the middle, and then of course their enemy has another set of destructible rocks, so both players have a ramp that lead down into that base with the destructible rocks blocking it. Additionally, there is a natural expansion just outside the main ramp that their base leads out into. And so that is going to be the natural, and then of course a slightly bigger choke leading out into the rest of the map from there as well. There's also some additional expansions along the outside of the map, and of course a high yield right in the middle of all the action. It's on the lower ground right next to the natural expansion for both players. And then of course there is one sole xel'naga watchtower out in the middle, which will give you a good area of vision around this middle area so that you can see what's going on. And both players now sending a scout out into each other's base. Fear has got one supply depot up, and it looks like 13 trying to block him from putting down that barracks. Of course he knows that he wants to get that barracks down there to block off the entrance, which is very, very popular for Terran strategy. And it looks like Fear does have his SCV inside 13's base, so both players are going to be able to do a decent amount of scouting, and it looks like 13 was not able to delay the barracks for Fear any longer. So 13 just at this point trying to get down as much scouting as he can. Of course there is one SCV that is constantly chasing down 13's probe. That of course to make sure that it does not try to attack the SCV that is building the barracks. He has already lost 10 hit points on that SCV, it looks like, and of course if you lose that SCV, have to bring another one out to continue building the barracks. It not only slows down the barracks timing, but losing that SCV this early in the game can actually be a significant disadvantage to the player that loses it. And it looks like Fear going for a very quick refinery and also a quick assimilator for 13. So it looks like we may see a pretty traditional macro game as both players are setting up for a little bit longer econ game. 13's first gateway just now finishing. And he is chrono boosting his probes right now. If we take a look at the units overlay, we can see that 13 has 16 probes as opposed to the 14 SCVs of Fear, although he did just get one more, so 15 not at a huge disadvantage yet, but that little edge can definitely extrapolate over the course of the game. And it looks like Fear has finished off his wall in using 2 supply depots and a barracks. Now one thing I would like to note is that because of the placing of the barracks, you'll notice that he cannot put an attachment on that barracks because of course it would go onto the ramp, and that does not allow him to do that. So and it looks like the first Marine coming out for Fear, he is able to take down 13 scouting probe, and actually Fear hiding a factory in the bottom of his base. I don't believe 13 has scouted this yet. I'm gonna switch to his vision real quick here, and it looks like, yeah, he has not scouted it. He is aware of the Wallen, and he is aware of the early gas and how many workers he has, but at this point he is not aware of the hidden factory, so we'll see how that plays out. A little bit of hidden tech going down there, and 13 putting down his second gateway. I would imagine that he's going to, yes, there it is right now, the warp gate technology coming in, which is so crucial for staying on top of your macro capabilities. And it looks like Fear is also getting up his second refinery, and of course making good use of that mule technology at the orbital command center, which is very important because you get the additional resources that allows As you can see here, there are less SCVs for Fear than 13 has in probes, but because of that extra mule, if we take a look at the income tab, you can see that they're very even right now because of the additional income from that. And it looks like Fear is going to move that factory into the main part of his base and throw a tech add-on down on that. We may see an armory going up here shortly. Yeah, there it is. So it looks like he's going to go for fast Thors. So if 13 doesn't scout this soon, he may be in some big trouble here. We'll see if he's able to spot what's going on. It looks like throwing down a scan here to see exactly what 13's working with. He does manage to stop that SCV from getting into his base, but of course with the scan going down overhead, he was able to see exactly what was going on in 13's base. And if we take a look at the vision of